Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Parents Engaging Parents Beloved Community Check-In. My name is Erica Beverett, and I am actually checking in from Camden, New Jersey. Today we have a very special guest, Tolani Taylor. She is the Zero Emissions Warehouse Organizer at Clean Water Action, New Jersey. We're definitely excited to hear about all the work that she's been doing to advance the Clean Truck Bill and to curb the community pollution that we are all dealing with in our EJ communities. PEP's mission is proactive awareness based on the interest of parents and community leaders. And we are definitely sponsored by Ports for People. Thank you for your support and your ongoing funding to make these shows like this happen. And let me bring to the screen Arlene. Good evening, Arlene.
Good evening, Erica. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing
Okay.
really not like that.
Well, for such a dry day with all the clouds and rain, right? Good evening, all. My name is Arlene Ramsey, checking in from Newark, New Jersey. I'm happy to have you all here with us. In regards to the work that I've been doing, I've been working on the Clean Ports for Newark's Future Ordinance, where we are engaging the community of Newark, New Jersey, and asking them to scan this QR code to sign the petition. On the page, we'll let you know everything about the ordinance, where this ordinance will aid to boost green jobs, improve public health, halt fossil fuel expansion, and also end pollution and polluting investments. Hence, we're moving towards a zero emissions economy. Also, we have the what do we call this? The Voices United, second annual Voices United event that is coming up, where we will have our partners who are a part of the environmental justice family share some information with the community of Newark, New Jersey, preferably the South Ward of Newark, being that South Ward of Newark and the East Ward of Newark are predominantly impacted negatively by the emissions that have been letting off by Port Newark, which is the steamship lines at the port and the trucks that actually use our corridors to import and export freight. Also, I am working on not a community, but an environmental justice bike ride that is going to that's coming up in the future, where we will continue to advocate for zero emissions and show that we are active in our community, and pollution and soot affect us while we are on the road, not just driving to work. However, if we take a walk, ride bikes, jog, or just out in our communities, our lungs are negatively impacted. I want you all to stay tuned. We will have the flyer range for this event, and we're looking forward to a date in July where all partners can participate in this bike ride as we advocate for zero emissions. Also, what's going on in the South Ward of Newark, there's some spaces available for anyone who's looking to rent space. The Family Dollar has went down, so the building is available. They are buildings on Bergen Street in Newark in the South Ward that if any of you are looking to have a space to open business, you may want to check those locations out. Thank you, Erica, and thank you all.
Thank you, Arlene. And next we're going to have Christian come to the stage, and he's going to share a bit about the ambassadors that are needed.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christian Beverett. I'm checking in from Lumberton, New Jersey. I'm at home back in South Jersey, but we're still here doing work for Newark and surrounding communities. And so today I'm here to talk about the ordinance that we've been doing for the past month, which is a Ports for People ordinance, which us Parents Engaging Parents are in partnership with Pacific Environment. And so we're searching for environmental justice ambassadors to help us spread the word about our initiative, which is Cleaner Air for Newark. And so we are advocating for cleaner air, and we're asking for volunteers uh, who do get stipends based off of the volunteering and canvassing they do with us. And so, pretty much, the role of ambassadors is we go door to door or business to business, go up to residents within Newark. Our recent work we've been doing in the South Ward and the residents there. Right now, we have about 1,100 signatures from those community members. So pretty much, we go up to community um, members and ask them to advocate for cleaner air, and this stops fossil fuel infrastructures from getting built if the bill does get passed. Um, so yeah, we're looking for environmental justice ambassadors. If you are interested, you could scan the QR code below. Like I said before, there is a paid stipend, so this is a paid opportunity. And thank you for having me on, and I hope we get some volunteers here to help us pass this ordinance.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. All right, so I know that you have, Arlene, you've definitely been doing some work within the community, definitely centered around zero emissions, and healthier communities. So if you could share with us what you've been up to, and I'm actually going to bring Tolani to the stage because it was actually her event.
Absolutely.
Hi, Tolani.
Hey everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, Tolani.
So hey everyone out there viewing virtually. My name's Tolani Taylor. I serve as the Zero Emissions and Warehouse Organizer for Clean Water Action. Checking in from Lawrenceville, but I do work and I am based in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And a recent event that happened just yesterday, and that Arlene, was a part of, was our first truck count. I organized the truck count in Elizabeth. We had about 8 people using air monitors and counting trucks in 2 different locations. In Elizabeth, we also had a media team on site capturing content and also talking to some of the truck counters and other advocates that were there as well about their lived experience dealing with diesel and trucking pollution on a daily basis, and why it's important for policies, especially here in New Jersey, to address that. So that's a little bit about what went on yesterday. It was a nice day, nice turnout. We previously had to reschedule it actually, because we originally wanted this to be on World Asthma Day, which was on May 6th. But had to reschedule until yesterday. But the purpose of us doing that, not only to raise awareness about World Asthma Day, but also demonstrate the connection between diesel and truck pollution, happening in EJ and overburdened communities, and how that leads to diseases like asthma. It was also about pressuring local and state legislators to support a statewide policy called the Advanced Clean Truck Rule. And what that is, I'll get into that. Right now, so the Advanced Clean Truck Rule, it was actually it's a California-based regulation, but currently there are several states, including New Jersey, that have recently adopted it. But the problem right now with this particular rule is that there is a bill that was recently introduced in New Jersey that is trying to roll those rules back. Basically, just, dragging it and not wanting to enforce it when it needs to be. Um, and this particular rule, this isn't good because this rule is focused on ensuring that there's enough like electric vehicles, like electric trucks, um,
Mhm.
available for purchase, and to ensure that they're actually being used because there's thousands and thousands of trucks. They make round trips, whether we're talking the more Port of Newark, Port of Elizabeth. They're servicing hundreds and hundreds of warehouses, already concentrated in warehouse, sorry, in EJ and overburdened communities. So
Mhm.
this rule in particular would um, help make that transition, which is really needed. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing left, right, and center in places that we didn't see before. A lot of warehouses,
mhm.
and I've even seen and I'm in Burlington County, so um, I've seen a lot of folks advocating against and winning from those warehouses coming into their communities. So um, if you can share with us a little bit more about the bill.
Yeah, I actually had it's in the form of a link, actually, like to the call to action.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can put it there in the chat. And then let me see.
Yeah, I can definitely. We're gonna put that on our platforms for folks to definitely take a look and to sign up for sure.
And tell us, why did you choose the location that you've chosen to have the truck count?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
just switching to my screen here. So we chose. Oh, I'm sorry. Just clicking things. Can you see my screen now?
No,
Oh, yeah.
it's coming up.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
Okay. Um. Well, yeah, we chose that location in particular, so I'll start there before I talk more about the rule here. So we chose that location in particular because Elizabeth it's known as an EJ, an overburdened community. It's also right next door to Newark, and the location in particular, it was close to a park, close
Mhm.
to apartment complexes, and a
Mhm.
grocery store, and those are sensitive areas next to busy roads. Next to There were actually multiple warehouses where we were doing the truck count and a busy road as well, major truck route.
Mhm.
Um, and we weren't that far from the Port of Newark or the Port of Elizabeth either. So we chose that in particular to really show how these facilities and the trucks that service them, how close they are, and how that's also an act of environmental racism, like intentionally putting these places, zoning them in such a way where it's close to where people live and where they work, or just want to play
Mhm.
with
Okay.
children. Hmm.
I noticed that during the truck count, I would like to say again, thank you for having this initiative. There's so much out there to actually advocate for when it comes to zero emissions that I just, didn't know. Uh,
Hmm.
I, I noticed that you all were also counting like the minivans and pickup trucks. And so can you please explain why we are counting the other vehicles as well as the trucks, the larger trucks?
Yeah, so yeah, those were one of the items that I instructed people to look out for because most of the time they are powered by, diesel fuel and create diesel emissions.
Mm.
And that once that's burned and it's, in the atmosphere, it creates a large concentration of particulate matter, which is, what causes these respiratory issues like asthma. So,
Mm.
unfortunately, like they are powered, they use that fuel the same as big, medium, and heavy duty trucks
Mhm, mhm.
and other equipment. So, and counting that, um, using the air monitors and seeing the concentration just within 1 hour. And as I was going through the data, actually, in total, it was about 160 vehicles between those two locations in Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Um,
very busy, and we were only there for an hour, so.
right.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, like, times that by 8 hours,
Mhm, mhm,
a day,
mhm.
throughout the whole week. And it's
Okay,
not
and
good.
so now the air monitors, can you explain exactly what the air monitor is picking up? And,
Yeah.
mhm,
So the air monitors we used, um, I actually just returned them. I would have shown you what it looked like, but
it's
it was
okay.
called the Atmotube air monitors.
Mhm,
So it's about the size of my hand, very small. And some of the things that it was picking up are things like PM, which stands for particulate matter, um, and VOCs, volatile organic compounds, which are two major um, air pollutants when we're talking about trucks.
I'm
Um,
sorry, can you please tell us what VOCs are? I know you explained what it is, but
mhm.
elaborate for those who don't know.
Yeah, so VOCs stand for volatile organic compounds, and it's mostly like just carbon chemicals.
Mm,
Once they're
okay,
burned, yeah,
mhm,
mhm,
okay.
they can make the air quality, bad, hazy,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
and just cause a lot of respiratory issues. So,
Okay,
mhm,
okay, so the results of the truck count, like how many more of these truck counts do you plan on having?
mhm. So, um, I'm not sure at the moment, but we are planning to do more of them um, in the near future, maybe an annual thing.
Okay.
It, although with Clean Water Action's first time hosting one, I've done truck counts multiple times with other EJ groups like ICC, which is the Iron Brown Community Corporation. I've also worked with
Other Egypt.
HUYA, Southwood Environmental Alliance. They actually recently just had their annual truck counts too. So in building more relationships, especially with local groups in Elizabeth, um, we're hoping to do more of them. Hopefully around this time in May um, as well.
Yeah, thank you, Talani, for your work. I um, I actually did participate with SWIA 1 year as well, doing a truck count, and it's pretty amazing how quickly they pass by. Like you don't even really fathom that so many pass by at that one time.
Right.
And it was probably a matter of maybe like 2 hours, and it was quite a bit. We definitely got up to close to the hundreds, definitely,
Yeah.
um, within an hour. So to think about the impacts that's happening within our communities, um, and
Mhm.
to folks, and we all are not blind to the fact that it's happening in more Black and Brown communities, in EJ communities, where
Mhm.
the pollution is concentrated.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Arlene, are you
I think you're muted.
muted? All right, we're gonna come back to Arlene. Oh, wait, here, let's try again. No? Okay. Arlene, we're going to come back to you. We're definitely going to make sure that you get your comment in. I just wanted to definitely acknowledge that Miss Elise is here. I see you, Miss Elise. Thank you for joining tonight. Please definitely weigh in if you have any questions. We'd love to hear from you as well. I am going to ask everybody if you could take a minute to stop, like, share our post, and so that we can continue to spread the word on this great work that Clean Water Action and Tolani is doing to stop this pollution that's happening within Black and Brown communities. So I know, Tolani, that you did just have a PDF up. Did you want to share that?
Yes. Let me share. I tried to upload it in the thing, but it wasn't working. So let me just share my screen.
Okay.
Again. Okay. Can you see it now?
It did not load up. Is it loaded on your end?
Yeah. Let me try it again. Okay, how about now?
Okay, it's here. So I'm going to add it to the stage.
So, yeah, so as I mentioned before, the purpose of the truck count was bringing awareness about this policy, Advanced Clean Truck Rule. So this is just it's a PDF talking about it and what it means, what it entails, and how it impacts EJ communities. So, obviously, if you live near a warehouse, you live close to the port, any major highway, EJ and overburdened communities are exposed to these concentrations more so than others because they're all just concentrated together. And this just kind of goes through the effects, especially of particulate matter, like I mentioned, to the body. So besides asthma, it can also cause heart issues. Over time, lung cancer. And then...
I didn't know it affects your veins too. Can you go back up?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, never knew that. I always hear about the respiratory part of it, but never so much about the vascular.
Mm-hmm. Even noise pollution too. Just if you live close enough and you constantly hearing trucks zooming by or anything, that can also negatively impact people too and communities over time.
Miss Elise asked if does the truck count go through the residential areas? Maybe
So the truck count, yes. So the truck count locations that we were set up in particular, it did go through, like, it was close to multiple apartment complexes.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting to probably do like a comparison to like to see where even in the busiest areas, like in some other cities, maybe I always like to use Short Hills. Short Hills is probably pretty busy as well because they have a lot of industry there as well. So when we think about it, at this point, yes, this pollution is affecting our EJ communities, and yet it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, close to where you are in Burlington County, that especially when it comes to warehousing, that has extended to even, outside of EJ and overburdened communities as well. And I have come across like a lot of other local groups too, in those areas that are just trying to fight against these proposals, similar to the initial campaign just a few years ago that Clean Water Action had fighting against Amazon. They were trying to build in Newark. So since then, warehousing has just increased since then. But what I'm finding is, what I'm noticing is that trying to like regulate the pollution that comes from warehouses, come from ports, it hasn't been getting enough attention as it should. So, in bringing up like these rules, like the ACT rule, and other bills that are, focused on that, it can help sort of like bridge that gap. So it's not just like, just trying to simply stop the warehouses from being built, but also let's pay attention to the ones that already exist and control that, because there's no regulations like whatsoever on just warehouses and ports in New Jersey. There's regulations on like facilities that directly like pollute, like power plants and stuff like that, but not for indirect sources of pollution, which comes from trucks. Oh, okay, there you go. I was like, what happened?
Do you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah.
All right, it was my my mic. What was the question I wanted to ask? Go ahead, continue on, and I'll get to you. I'll get back with you. Go ahead.
Yes. So, tell me how is it that you're approaching advocating for the passing of this bill?
So what I've been doing, just in coordination with other groups, is going to Trenton, going to the State House in Trenton, and when the bill was up for a vote, like a hearing vote, committee vote, just being there and just speaking in support of it and to uphold it. Also reaching out to legislators as well, meeting with them, speaking to them, trying to reach them directly, at the State House, and encouraging them to do the same. And also tapping into community members like around the state and encouraging them to also reach out as well.
Yeah. And how have you found that there's a lot of support behind the bill, or?
Well, currently there's the problem right now, like with this bill regarding the advanced clean truck rule, is a lot of industry players like trucking companies, logistics companies, because they're in favor of basically like, let's roll the advanced clean trucks rule back. They're spreading a lot of misinformation. And they're going to legislators saying this. So part of like the outreach and also getting, community members involved is, just talking to legislators, reaching them and providing them with the right information about it. Because, those that are against it, that want to roll back these rules, they're advocating for that because they don't want to be held accountable, for the solution that they're creating, and they just only care about, the profits and how much they could generate, even though the communities that they're operating in, they don't actually live there. Their children probably don't live there, and they just continue to do business as usual.
Mm.
But policies like this um, hold them accountable, um,
Mhm, mhm.
and would directly impact, communities that are already there, experiencing it.
And that's interesting. A question I had was, how does the truck count help you with getting this bill passed?
Hmm. So the truck count, it would help by, well, let me actually go back a little bit because in previous years, there was a truck count actually done in Elizabeth, and the data collected from there over the course of several months actually led to an ordinance being passed to prevent trucks from actually traveling off of First Street, which is
Mm.
in Elizabeth. So in doing like this truck count and trying to advocate for policies like on a bigger scale, right, bigger than a local ordinance. Um, the main thing is just showing like the impact. Like this is how many trucks on a daily basis are passing through, and in providing that data, those numbers, it helps to motivate, especially legislators, those enforcing, these rules and policies.
Of course.
Like why? Yeah. So.
Okay. And so I don't envision them having a problem with believing that because per my
Mhm.
experience within being in the international business, there's truck routes, right? So especially the
Mhm.
18 wheelers, they're not allowed to go on all roads. So some trucks, there are routes or and roads that they must travel on. So they do know that. Hence, it's interesting to see that you've been paying attention that these trucks are traveling heavily on these routes, but these roads are still linked to communities where we live, where we
Mhm.
shop, and so on. And so, how can we, one of your partners, aid you in getting this bill passed?
Mhm.
What would you like us to do? Do we need to notify the communities? Do you need the outer community more involved? Or would you like a hand from PEPNJ? Just let us know.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think the best thing right now, um, I do have there's a call to action. Take action on our site. I also put a link in the chat as well. So the
I
best thing
signed
to
it.
do, yeah, you can click on that link and it will send a message to DEP and to whoever your uh, legislator is, whoever your assembly person and senator is in your district. It will send a letter to them,
That's
encouraging.
Assemblywoman Spate.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, she's
Assemblywoman State for
okay.
North.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So anything else that you are working on in regards to this bill?
another thing that I'm working on is it's actually another bill, but this one in particular is focused on ports, trying to regulate port and warehouse pollution. It's
Okay.
also known as the indirect source rule. And this is something that's actually happening in other states. So, um, in advocating like for this in particular, it was drawing on inspiration from other states. And what this would do is, hold on, just want to,
Let me
yeah. So the
open this.
purpose of this bill, the ISR bill, it's about holding those at the ports, those at warehouses accountable by making them follow a program, like a points-based program.
Mhm,
And that's a program that would have to be enforced by the DEP. And
mhm,
basically, in that program, they earn points by installing chargers, by getting electric trucks, and,
mhm.
and utilizing them to stay, in compliance, like with this particular program. And if this is, and it's kind of like a permit-based thing. So if
Mhm.
they don't take certain measures, like getting those trucks, um, and actively like reducing the pollution that they are creating, then the DEP would take control, and um, they wouldn't be allowed to operate anymore. And there would be stricter requirements
Mhm.
for warehouses and other facilities that are close to environmental justice and overburdened communities.
Yeah, I like that. That's not a hard ask, right? I've been
Mhm,
to various Amazon warehouses, and Amazon facilities are
mhm,
already on code. I said
yeah,
Amazon facilities will have you wanting to work at a warehouse when typically, we kind of shy away from working in warehouses because of the same thing, the pollution, you're breathing in the dust, not,
mhm,
there's no clean air. But it's not a hard ask. And I think that, that's you're going in the right direction with focusing on that. And I love how the EJ environmental justice communities are actually taking on a holistic approach when it comes to zero emissions. It's not just emissions, we're also talking about pollution, clean air, and clean water. And we're targeting areas that actually are not up to par, not up to standard, and asking them to turn that over,
yes,
which
exactly.
is also good for the employees that go to these warehouses and go to work at the ports, you know.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, and I like that you mentioned that because I just remembered there were a few members from Teamsters that were also there yesterday at the truck count, and they're a major labor group,
Mm,
um, especially with logistics,
mhm,
warehousing. So
mhm. Yeah. So what got you interested in this field in environmental justice and working in this lane? What made you say, okay, you know what, I'm going after the trucks, I'm going after the port and the
mhm.
warehouses? What was it that sparked within?
Yeah, well, I would actually say just my interest in environmental justice. It started in college. I went to NJIT, which is in Newark, um, and that's when I first actually learned about the Newark water crisis
Okay.
happening at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually when I met Kim Gaddy, and
Mm-hmm.
then that ballooned into working for Clean Water Action, like canvassing and getting more involved in the EJ space. So, um, and at the time in which I was starting with Clean Water Action, I've been with Clean Water Action for the past 2 years. Um, that was like the campaign at the time, like dealing with Amazon, fighting against Amazon. So um, from there, that's when I started to look more into this issue and seeing how it impacted other things until fast forward to today. So now organizing truck counts and stuff.
Yep. And Talani, I met you that 2 years ago, and I can say I can see how you've grown in the work in the space that you're in right now. It's like coming out. It's so natural to you. I
Yeah.
remember doing that Amazon work as well, and then I began seeing a lot of the signs in South Jersey, like I mentioned before. But then now
Mhm.
I'm also seeing like warehouses are up. Like they just threw one up around the corner from me, and
Yeah, and the worst part is like they go through the trouble, this process of building it, but then a lot of them are just vacant. So it's just big empty buildings, wasting space, wasting resources, um, that are just everywhere. And
mhm.
it's, because of that, it just needs to stop. Like it just needs to stop in total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems as if with all these warehouses that they're building, that they're looking to go in the direction of just online shopping, like the way Amazon is, right?
Mhm.
Which is actually moving us away from going into the stores.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's another big factor and what, created like that warehouse boom as well.
hmm
Um,
Mhm.
hmm
Yeah, I mean, I think also it's the way that our just our overall community is moving. I know that it's kind of funny because the other day my son said he's going shopping, but he went to the mall. So I was like, oh, okay.
mhm.
Like for once he went to the mall. But then he was like, yeah, but now I gotta go and order pants online. And I'm like, well, you couldn't find them at the
Really?
mall. Yeah. So it's just it's still that reliance on that shipping part that
Mhm.
it's a part of the culture now. Ever since COVID, it
Since
really
COVID.
became that much
Yeah.
bigger.
hmm
Mhm.
hmm
I had the I had the pleasure of engaging um, some youth at Rise Academy. Shout out to Tommy. Thank you for letting us come into your space, into your classroom. I did it in partnership with SWIA as well. PAP was able to organize that, but like in speaking to the students, like there were some students that were well aware um, of port workers and also the fact that they were picketing and
hmm
that they were advocating for themselves. Um, Probably like right now we're at a cusp of folks are afraid that they're going to lose their jobs if we shift towards zero emissions.
Mhm.
What's your take on that? Like how like what's your take on like what do you say to folks that are saying no, I don't want zero emissions because I don't want to basically lose my job?
Well, I at the same time I see a lot of green jobs, like jobs, in this zero emission space. Like I see trainings and everything
Mm-hmm.
that for people that maybe are in this type of industry, um there's pathways to transition into that where it's zero emission based.
Yeah.
So, and at the same time, a lot of these industries, like there are companies that are already making this zero emission transition just on their own without the policy in
Mm-hmm.
place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's just a matter of, funding and resources that are available, but the same jobs that people are going to that don't have zero emission standards, like it's also impacting their life physically.
Absolutely.
Um, so making them, see that, like the job that you're going to, to earn money, put food on the table, it shouldn't be killing you at the same time. And that's literally what it's doing, the
Mm-hmm.
pollution and everything,
Mm-hmm.
talking about warehouses and stuff. So, um, it's hard to answer that because I can't say like, well, you
Well,
just have to suck it up, you know, um,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
it's the
well,
very real
we all know
reality,
change is going to come, right? It's
right?
inevitable, and that's we do want healthier communities. We
Mhm.
also want everybody to still be able to live and make a living wage as well. I think as
Right.
and like you mentioned, Talani, as there's more funding that comes into play. Hopefully, we
Hmm.
can move forward in getting more trucks transitioned into cleaner um, cleaner engines, having cleaner engines.
Yeah.
and I would say, right, zero emissions is not AI. So
No, it's
I
not.
take that as it's going in the direction of zero emissions. We're talking about more electric vehicles. It still requires people to operate that
Hmm.
um, versus AI. So I think it's a matter of people not understanding what zero emissions is. and they think that as we're talking about that, it's automatically going over to AI when there's actually steps to this, right? And so we can have zero emissions 100% without having AI, right? And then
Definitely.
if we get to, or when we get to this point of having AI 100%, we're still going to need people to fix those, uh, equipments when they break down. We need people to stand behind
Mhm.
computers and look at numbers, analytics, what have you. So I do believe that there aren't going to be jobs lost the way people think. We
Mhm.
just need people to stay abreast of the educational aspect of things and pay attention to the direction things are moving in, and stay ahead of the curve. Elise asked, "Do we take the petitions?" I think to legislative. I believe was it the petitions that she asked, Erica? Yeah. Do we take the petition to the legislative? So the petitions that we're working on, do we take that to legislative? Like, what do you do?
Um, yes, you can. Once you have, it depends on what your target number is of signers for the petition, but you can definitely take it to your your local mayor, a council, whoever your council member is, um, your senator, your assembly person. Um, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. That was a good ask, Elise. All right. Do you want to let us know how we can also continue to help you out with this endeavor? I know you did say you're working on the another bill, which is the port and warehouse pollution bill.
Mhm.
Will you be attending any of the warehouses? Do you need any support, any numbers in regards to that? What will that look like?
So yeah, so for that bill in particular, right now the need is to get more people to help reach out to legislators. So it's similar to the ACT one. I posted the call to action for that. So it's a similar thing. Like you just fill out your information, and whoever your legislator is in your district will send a message to them. You can also add your own twist to it or add additional comments as well to it.
Awesome. So now, is this bill a bill that Clean Water Action created, or is it a bill that was already in existence and people don't know, and Clean Water Action say this is what we're going to be working on? Is this a Clean Water
Mhm.
Action initiative?
So it's a mix of groups. So it was Clean Water Action, some members of Coalition of Healthy Ports, which is another coalition that Clean Water Action is a part of, and EDF, Environmental Defense Fund. So we came together. This is about a year ago, um, and then looking at other examples of this particular bill, of the ISR bill, came
Hmm.
up with the language for it, and then presented it to um, legislators
Okay.
in the Senate and Assembly. And yeah, so it's there. It's just, sitting in the state house. We have tried to get it to come up for a vote, but they kept rescheduling it. So there hasn't been much activity on it. But when the time comes, and I can definitely share it with you all, especially those out there that are close to Trenton, the need for that is coming out to testify. And I've done it multiple times, so I can definitely help with training folks who are maybe new to that or have never done it before. Um, yeah, because it's really that testimony, having as much testimony as possible in support for the bill to get it to pass.
Okay, awesome. Would you like to partner with another a bike ride in regards to these bills that you're working on? It's already in the plan to arrange one for the Clean Ports for Newark's future. Would you like to have another date, and let's get some more people on board? Doesn't matter what kind of bicycle we have, just as long as we're on the road, and have this documented so they understand that we actually mean business. We're bringing the communities out, and we're out enjoying our air, and we want to make sure that our lungs is able to help us move.
Absolutely, yes. I
Okay.
can definitely, um, leading up to that, have more like little infographics, one pages, and things for people to read and like look at to understand it better as well, and
Okay.
how it all connects. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a
What
plan.
what I'm saying and what I'm seeing here is, and this is really alarming, when you think about the amount of people that are really affected. And this is from your page, Talani,
Mhm.
Clean Water, and it says air pollutants deriving from diesel fuel freight vehicles have led to 340 deaths, nearly 3,000 cancer cases, and 164 heart attacks,
Mhm.
3,921 asthma flare ups, and 110 asthma emergency room visits in New Jersey in 2023 alone. And that's got to be increasing because, as we know,
Mhm.
shipping and trucking has become so much more rampant, because of
Yeah.
our consumerism. Like, let's talk about that. Like, people, like, we need to kind of like really think
Mhm.
about what we're doing to ourselves when we're indulging in this consumerism that we tend to do
Mhm.
as Americans. Like, we need to really think about our future. Um,
Most
what do you,
definitely.
yeah, like, what do you, in terms of like your generation, because I know my generation was definitely the generation of mall shop, that type
Mhm.
of thing.
Mhm.
Like, how conscious do you think your generation is, or do you think that we have a lot of more work to do as far as raising awareness against the consumerism that we indulge in?
Mhm. Yeah, I think we definitely have a long way to go. Because consumerism, consumerism, it's it's directly impacted to climate change, as well, and the corporations that are sort of like encouraging people to buy this, buy that,
Mhm.
they are part of the problem, and until they are being properly regulated, um I mean, people are people. They're gonna, shop and buy and consume, but it's having the right policies in place, um, to make it so, these industries and corporations aren't just doing anything, um,
Mhm.
they want to do, because that will in turn affect people's, behavior, how they engage, with
Mhm.
such corporations. So definitely like advocating for business and industries that are doing what they're supposed to do, and encouraging people to support that, and not really shop on Amazon. I personally don't support Amazon, and I just try to encourage those like in my network, like my friends, family members, like you shouldn't, support this, and just try to encourage people to change their habits, their spending habits. Um,
Yeah.
I was thinking, how about we do a survey and
mhm,
ask the communities as to why there's consumerism, why do they shop, and see
yeah,
what their answers are, so that in that we can create something that can have them take a look at why they're shopping
Yeah.
yeah,
as
that's a
much as
good
they
point.
are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think it's just like, it's almost like our culture. Like, we always feel like we have to have these things, right?
Mhm.
And we really, have to really be more mindful of the overall effects. Um, in our
Mhm.
communities, in our own communities, that it's having to just have those things shipped
Absolutely.
and bought. And even like when we think about in terms of how many things that we discard, right? We're
Mhm.
throwing things away. That stuff that we throw away are going into trucks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Hmm.
It's just like between the hyper consumerism and the facilities that are encouraging that and the impacts that it's having on the environment and public health. It's like it has to start from somewhere, like minimizing these impacts and these behaviors, um, to finally get to a more sustainable, an ethical point where it's not harming communities, it's not harming workers,
Hmm.
and allows businesses and industries to function in a way that's actually sustainable and won't hurt the environment either. So,
Right.
Right.
mm,
Did you see what Mr. Frazier says?
Okay.
Um, you want to read it, Erica?
You got it.
Okay. Port workers' concerns about automation are understandable, but it's important to recognize that achieving zero emissions is a separate and necessary conversation.
It
Absolutely.
is. Hmm.
Yep.
mhm,
Yep.
Yeah, I think
good.
it's just that I think the fear factor without the facts
Mm-hmm.
is what's causing people to kind of like withdraw. I know that
Mm-hmm.
while we were canvassing, there were folks that were saying, if I advocate for this, is my job going to find out?
Right.
And it's
Mhm,
it's jarring how there's so much fear around advocating for your own health and safety. Um,
Right.
folks are afraid of
mhm,
losing their jobs, and we've got to stop this. This is a
Right.
big issue.
Right, and given that, I mean, they're on extra defense because just a couple of months ago they were on strike because they thought they weren't getting paid enough.
Mhm.
yeah.
Also, I think the port in Los Angeles, if my memory serves me correctly, is part automation, right?
Well,
So I understand their defense. Now, the verbiage and then hearing that we're talking about zero emissions, automation would take them to zero emissions. And so I can see how they're mixing everything and not allowing themselves the opportunity to actually hear what's going on, which is why the beloved community check-in is extremely important, because we don't have that time to kind of explain that to them. And then once they're shut down, they don't want to hear what you have to say. So we don't want to cross those boundaries. So we almost don't get the opportunity to explain this to them while we're trying to get them to sign the petition. But we need, them to be comfortable and understand that it is a safe space to have this conversation and recognize that zero emission does not mean automation. And
Mhm,
the ports do not have to go to automation. That's another conversation that needs to happen. They don't need to go to automation.
mhm.
Right.
And another thing too, I was thinking about as you were talking, Arlene, it's about AI. I recently actually read an article talking about the environmental impacts of AI and how much water it actually consumes,
Hmm.
um, and other negative impacts that it has. So I'm not an advocate of AI myself. And, just to, and echoing what you were saying, like zero emissions doesn't mean like it has to use AI, it
Right.
has to use automation because there are other alternatives. And it's probably better because AI is not good anyway.
Mm,
So,
no. And so, what did Elise say? What is a good number for them to look at? What does she mean by that? Elise, what do you mean by that? And what I was going to ask you, Talani, is what do you mean by AI uses a lot of water? I didn't know that that was a thing.
mhm. Yeah, I can definitely pull up the article for you after this. But
Hmm.
the from my understanding, like these AI centers or AI data centers, they in order for them to function and power themselves effectively, it they have to consume and use a lot of water,
Mm,
water resources. So I think I'm not sure if it was in Tennessee,
okay.
um, but there was a AI data center there in a environmental justice overburdened community,
Mm,
and it was, they were just being impacted by it, by that particular facility, simply because um, it's using all of those resources. And the
Mm,
more of it, the more massive it is, the more resources it needs to utilize. So um,
wow.
I'll definitely find that article for you because it just recently happened. Yeah.
I
it's
look forward
interesting because
to.
that would take water away from the community, and we hear so many times that there are communities that lack water. I mean, there's folks that
Hmm.
turn on their tap and they're getting pretty much rust that's coming
Yeah.
out.
There's
So
still some that is contaminated with lead too.
yes.
Even when you look at Flint, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
they still don't have clean
Again.
water either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when I tell you, what is it, the Jane of all trades, master of self. There was a time that I worked with, and the gentleman, he was a black-owned business where we did water testing
Hmm.
in West Milford, New Jersey, and so that Flint, Michigan situation, I don't give them a pass because I was one of the people that had to test the water for different contaminants and such, and
Hmm.
then put in the chlorine and other things to regulate the water. And
Right.
so you have a formula, and they tell you how much it needs. And
Hmm.
so then you put accordingly. So every day we're to test each site. Each of us had a group of sites where we went around to test every
Hmm.
day, and the water is not going to, every day it's not regulated. And then you got to do what you have to do to regulate the water. West
Hmm.
Milford always, they said that Newark had the best water, right? And they said they
Hmm.
wish they had our water. So with Newark, our issue is that the buildings are old and so is the pipes,
Yeah.
not necessarily the water. So once you switch out the pipes, you're good. Flint,
Hmm.
Michigan is just, they're not testing the water, they're not regulating the water and doing what they need to make sure the water does not have contaminants in it. And
Hmm.
so the question becomes why, right? Why aren't they doing
They
it?
don't care. They don't care. Their money and their industry is more important, and that takes precedence over everything. Capitalism is
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Capitalism kills. Yeah.
absolutely exactly what Erica said. I didn't say
Yeah.
it.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'll say it. Well, Talani, I just definitely want to thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. We love the work that you're doing, and we definitely support you all the way.
Thank you so much. And thank y'all for inviting me. Thank
And
you, Erlene, for bringing it up to me yesterday.
you're welcome. And we will thank to Christian for asking me to have you come on
Yes.
today. And
Great.
so we'll keep in touch. I'll reach out to you
Hmm.
in regards to your endeavors, like I said, and you let me know. And also the bike ride, I'll send you
Yeah.
some emails, and so we can get some dates going and
Hmm.
have all of us out there. Yeah,
That would be great.
yes.
Yes.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Talani.
Thank
Okay.
y'all. Have a good
You're
night.
welcome. Good night.
Good night. I have one more announcement that I'm going to bring up, and that is on this Saturday. Parents Engaging Parents is going to be hosting a mental health engagement along with ARMHA. We're enhancing mental health awareness and reducing stigma in New Jersey communities. So we are going to be having a focus discussion group. It's going to be a really nice time. We're going to chat. We're going to eat. We're going to have some prizes as well. So definitely, if you can make it, I would encourage you all to come out. I'm going to drop the link in the chat there so that everybody can possibly register if you can as you're watching. And also, we have upcoming our summer camp in partnership with Inspire Sports Camp. We are going to be having 2 terms. Term 3 is going to be leaving from the PEP office on July 6th. And those campers are going to be there overnight until July 7th. I'm sorry, 11th. It's only $50 to register for the week. And I would encourage you all to come, definitely scan that code and come through. Also, we have term 4, which will be leaving out of, it's going to be leaving out of, City Hall in Orange. And also we'll also have another bus that's leaving from the PEP office for that same term on July 13th through July 18th. And those kiddos are going to be going to Lebanon, PA. They have an awesome time. I hear there's lots of fun things to do, sports, swimming, arts and crafts, you name it. They get a little bit of religion too. So they get a little bit of wellness. We're going to get the experience of clean air because that's definitely one of the things that we're advocating for. And there's no time like now for those kids to get that experience as to what they are supposed to be having in their own communities. And shout out to People Over Politics for sponsoring their bus that's going to be leaving out of term 4 on Sunday, July 13th. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
Good evening.
And of course, thank you once again, Ports for People, for sponsoring this show and all of our previous shows in our EJ series. I'm the Beloved Community Check-In. My name is Erica, and you are?
Arlene J. Ramsey.
All right, and we will be back with you all next week. Stay tuned. Have a great night, everyone.
Good evening.